7 Secrets of the Goddess by Devdutt Pattanaik. Chapter 3. Gauri's Secret. Culture is dependent on human gaze. Part 3. Eons pass before the Devas remember Shiva and want him to open his eyes, marry and father a child. For they are in trouble. Their paradise has been attacked by Asuras. The Devas need a commander to lead their armies. Their king, Indra, is not capable, for the leader of the Asuras can only be killed by a warrior child. Such a child can only be produced by a man who has been celibate for a long time. In other words, Shiva. But when the gods send Kama, the god of desire, to strike Shiva with his arrows that arouse the senses, Shiva opens his third eye and lets loose a missile with his glance that sets Kama aflame and reduces him to a pile of ash. So the Devas turn to the goddess once again, and she promises to help, becoming Parvathi, the daughter of the mountain god Himavan. Parvati makes Shiva open his eyes and marry, but very differently. Unlike Sati, she does not follow Shiva. Unlike Kama, she does not arouse him sexually. She simply prays to him by refusing to eat, drink or move, thinking only of him, resisting all temptations until he is forced to appear before her and give her what she wants. Shiva finally appears and agrees to come to her house as a groom comes to receive his bride. Shiva, unaware of the ways of the world, comes riding not a mare but a bull, wearing animal skins, not silks, decked with ash, not sandal paste, serpents, not garlands, with ghosts and wild forest spirits, instead of family and friends. Parvati's parents are not amused, but Parvati refuses to change her mind. She begs Shiva to temper his form to the satisfaction of her parents, and he, eager to indulge this devotee of his, transforms into the most elegant of beings, Mahadev, more beautiful than all the Devas. And so Shiva marries Parvati and takes her to Kailas, a mountain peak covered with snow where nothing grows. Here she makes a home even though Shiva does not understand the concept. He is content living in caves during the rains, in crematoriums in winter, and on mountain peaks in summer. Parvati and Shiva make love, but he offers his semen not to her, but the Devas. It is so fiery that it burns Agni, the fire god, and remains resistant to the touch of Vayu, the wind god. It boils Ganga, the river goddess, and sets aflame Saravan, the forest of reeds. From the ashes emerge 6 boys from Shiva's single seed, who are nursed by the 6 star goddesses who make up the Kritika constellation. Parvati takes the 6 children in her hand and fuses them into one. Thus is born the 6-headed Skanda, warrior child, who leads the Devas into battle and defeats the Asuras. Skanda, or Kartikeya, or Murugan as he is known in the south, is Shiva's son, born of his seed, incubated in multiple wombs. Parvati now wants a son of her own. Shiva refuses to indulge this wish, as he says children are needed only by mortal beings who seek rebirth. He is immortal and so has no need for children. Parvati argues that children are also needed to receive and give love. When Shiva does not grant Parvati what she wants, she anoints her body with turmeric, scrapes it off, and from the rubbings creates a child without a man, Nayaka, and names him Vinayaka. When Shiva discovers this child, he does not recognize him as Parvati's. In a fit of rage and jealousy, he cuts his head, but when Parvati reveals who the child was, replaces it with an elephant's head to pacify her. Thus is born Ganesha, the god who removes obstacles, associated with affluence and abundance. The 2 sons of Shiva, Skanda and Ganesha, take care of the 2 primal fears of man: fear of being killed by a predator and fear of dying of starvation. Skanda fights the Asuras and provides security, while Ganesha removes all obstacles to material prosperity. Thus the sons of the hermit Shiva indulge all the desires of the householder. They would not exist if Parvati had not come into the picture. Parvati thus embodies that aspect of domesticated nature which evokes the best of the human mind. Shiva beheads Brahma. Shiva beheads Daksha. Shiva also beheads Vinayaka. With each beheading, a new wisdom emerges. The first marks the destruction of the desire to claim ownership over nature, hence the goddess. The second marks the destruction of the desire to control culture, hence the goddess. The third marks the destruction of the desire to block access to nature, hence the goddess. The Shiva Puran begins with Shiva's refusal to marry. When married, he is reluctant to make love. When he finally makes love, he is reluctant to shed semen. When he sheds semen, it is not in his wife's womb, but outside. He refuses to give Parvati the child she wants. By creating a child on her own, Parvati declares her autonomy. She does not need Shiva, but by then, Shiva needs her. He wants to be with her. When Vinayaka blocks his path to her, he removes the obstacle brutally. This violence indicates Shiva, who once loved isolation, now yearns for companionship. Devi thus has successfully domesticated him. She no longer dances on his chest as Kali. She now sits on his lap as Gauri. The hermit, Tapasvin, becomes a contributor, Yajaman, in the Yajna. Though he remains a yogi, one who has no desire to be the Yajna's beneficiary, Bhogi. Sati exists in the old Vedic way, where Yajna was paramount and all that mattered were the rules of exchange that governed the ritual. Sati is destroyed, and when she is reborn, she emerges in a new Puranic order, one where devotion and adoration, expressed through puja, is preferred. In the Yajna way, there is no clear concept of God. There are only gods or devas. In the puja way, gods or devas are replaced by God or Mahadev. The tone is more emotional than technical. Sati rejects Daksha, hence Brahma, but chooses Shiva as husband and Vishnu as brother, who become focal points of Hindu tradition. We can say that Sati and Parvati embody the pre-Buddhist and post-Buddhist forms of Hinduism. Pre-Buddhist Vedic Hinduism thrived before 500 BCE. Post-Buddhist Puranic Hinduism thrived after 500 CE. Buddhism, which dominated the subcontinent for nearly 1,000 years, was a major transformative force in India as it questioned the mechanistic and materialistic way of the Yajna. But the low value given to emotion in Buddhism was addressed by Bhakti traditions, which gave rise to temple traditions, stories of the Puranas, and the ritual of puja. The Yajna way valued fire. This fire ultimately consumes Sati. The puja way values water. Parvati draws out the heat from within Shiva until the ice melts, both metaphorically and literally. She gets Shiva to break the fall of the river Ganga as she descends from the sky and makes its way to earth. In Hindu tradition, the dead are first burned in a funeral pyre, and then their ashes are thrown in a river. Fire consumes death, but water helps in rebirth. If Sati embraces death, Parvati brings forth life. She rejuvenates and revitalizes Shiva and the world. Shiva transforms into the dancer Nataraj and the musician Veena in the presence of Parvati. She asks him questions on the nature of reality and the world, and their conversations are heard by birds and bulls and fish, who transmit this knowledge to the world. The birds transmit the ocean of stories, Katha Sarit Sagar. The bull transmits the knowledge of sensory pleasures, Kama Sutra. The fish transforms into Matsyendranath and transmits esoteric knowledge, the Tantras. Thus, with Parvati's presence, the ice melts and water flows in various ways to enrich culture. Daksha's approach to culture is rather masculine, based on command and control. Parvati's approach is more feminine, based on affection. When Shiva tells Parvati that he does not feel there is any need for a kitchen in Kailas, she disappears. Shortly thereafter, the followers of Shiva, the Gana, led by Ganapati, go to Shiva and ask him for food. He has none to give. He goes around the world with a begging bowl but finds no food. Finally, he reaches Kashi and finds Parvati's kitchen there. She smiles and says, "You may have outgrown hunger, but not others. The kitchen is for them." As she feeds her children, Shiva declares her to be Annapurna, goddess of food, the ideal wife for the hermit who has no hunger. While Daksha's masculine gaze is firmly focused on his own needs, Parvati's feminine gaze shifts the focus to others. Culture then becomes an outcome not of domestication, but of empathy. Chapter 3. Gauri's Secret. Culture is dependent on human gaze. Part 2.
Chapter 3. Ardhanari's Secret. God is stillness within, Goddess is movement around.